In the rolling hills of Emmerdale, where secrets are as fertile as the soil and loyalties are tested with the frequency of the Yorkshire rain, a new kind of storm has been brewing. Its eye is not a force of nature, but a man, Joe Tate. The once presumed dead heir to the Tate empire has returned not with a whimper, but with a calculated, cold-blooded ambition that is systematically dismantling the village's moral foundations. The recent, unprecedented crossover catastrophe with Coronation Street, the Corriedale crash, was not just a television event. It was a seismic rupture in the fabric of reality for Emmerdale's residents, leaving cracks through which a predator like Joe could slither, armed with a smartphone and a ruthless lack of conscience. The spoilers for upcoming ITVX episodes reveal a Joe Tate holding not just power, but the very souls of the Sugdens and, potentially, the Dingles in his hands. This is not mere blackmail. It is a masterclass in psychological warfare and a dark evolution of the Tate legacy. Joe's ascendancy to the role of village puppeteer begins in the eerie quiet of the woods, moments after the cacophony of the minibus explosion fades. The crossover event, which saw Aaron Dingle and John Sugden's fraught journey collide catastrophically with the Swain family, was a tapestry of panic and poor decisions. But for Joe, concussed and disoriented, it became an opportunity. Stumbling upon Victoria Sugden in her most desperate, defining moment, the lethal confrontation with her manipulative, dangerous brother John, Joe did not intervene, offer help, or flee. He did what the modern age dictates. He recorded. Victoria's act, driven by terror and a need to protect herself and her family from John's venom, was a tragic culmination of Sugden's suffering. Wiping the syringe and placing it in John's lifeless hand was a futile attempt to reclaim a shard of control. But in the glow of Joe's phone screen, that control was instantly, permanently transferred. This footage is more than evidence. It is a digital ghost, a perfect, replayable record of a good person's damnation. Joe's possession of it transforms him from a peripheral player into the village's arch-narrator, holding the power to rewrite Victoria's story from victim to murderer with a single tap. His approach is not one of blustering threats, but of cold, transactional delivery. At the Sugden household, the heart of Emmerdale's pastoral history, he presents his ultimatum not with a snarl, but with the calm demeanor of a businessman closing a deal. The farm, Annie Sugden's land, in exchange for his silence. For Robert and Victoria, the calculation is horrific but clear. Their freedom, their family's legacy, and Victoria's very sanity, traded for acres of soil and memory. Joe's smug departure is justified. He has understood that in the economy of trauma, real estate is a cheap price to pay. This move is deeply symbolic. The Sugden farm represents continuity, family, and old Emmerdale values. By claiming it through blackmail, Joe isn't just expanding Kim's property portfolio. He is severing the village from its moral roots, planting the flag of the Tates, a family built on corruption and power, on its most hallowed ground. Flush with this success, Joe's ambition expands. His task for Kim was always twofold: the Sugden land and Butler's farm. With the first virtually secured, he turns to the second, only to find not a living tenant, but a corpse and a conspiracy. Celia Daniels' death is a mystery, but the passports he finds in her drawer are a crystal-clear opportunity. They are a key to a different kind of prison, the trafficking of vulnerable people like Anya. Joe's mind, a machine that converts human misery into leverage, whirs to life again. His meeting with Robert at Home Farm reveals the chilling next layer of his strategy. He doesn't just want land now. He wants an agent. By forcing Robert to plant the damning evidence at Maura Dingle's, Joe achieves several objectives at once. First, he tightens his control over Robert, making him an accomplice and ensuring his continued compliance. Second, he strategically attacks a pillar of the community, Moira Dingle, for all her flaws, represents resilience, hard work, and a fierce, protective matriarchy. Accusing her of human trafficking is not just legally damning. It is a character assassination of monumental proportions, designed to isolate and destroy one of the village's strongest nodes of resistance. Robert's refusal is a given, but it is also meaningless. Joe has moved beyond requests. He is issuing directives, understanding that Robert, bound by his love for Victoria and his own complicity, is in no position to argue. The upcoming questioning of Moira is therefore not a random plot twist, but the direct, inevitable result of Joe's chess game. The police finding the planted evidence would achieve his immediate goal of securing Butler's farm through Celia's disgrace. But for Joe, that is likely just step one. This leads to the looming, terrifying question. Will Joe use the same tactic with Moira? The answer seems almost certainly to be yes, but with even higher stakes. Offering Moira a deal, her freedom for her farm, is the obvious play. But Joe is thinking bigger. Consider the panorama from Home Farm. The Tate seat of power looks down upon a village ripe for the taking. With the Sugden farm under his thumb, Butler's farm potentially following, and key villagers like Robert and Moira entangled in his webs, Joe's vision is coming into focus. He is not just impressing Kim. He is potentially surpassing her. Kim's plan was about land acquisition. Joe's scheme is about total dominance through the control of people. By holding their darkest secrets, he owns their choices, their futures, their voices. He can silence opposition, command obedience, and reshape the village's power structure without ever firing a shot or contesting a council vote. The farms are just the physical manifestation. The real property is the guilt and fear of his neighbors. Imagine the leverage if he records multiple confessions, collects evidence on several crimes. He could become an untouchable shadow mayor, a puppet master whose strings are made of digital video and stolen passports. The nightmare, referenced in the spoilers, is not just for the Sugdens. It is the dawn of a new, Orwellian era for Emmerdale, where privacy is extinct and every mistake is a potential asset for Joe Tate. What makes Joe Tate particularly formidable is his modernity. He is not a pantomime villain twirling a mustache. He is a sleek, 21st-century predator. His weapon of choice is technology, a tool for evidence gathering and dissemination. His currency is information. His demeanor is corporate, not chaotic. He represents a new kind of threat to soaps, which have traditionally thrived on passionate, heated confrontations. Joe deals in chilly silence and the implicit threat of the send button. Furthermore, he is driven by a deeply relatable, yet twisted, motive: the need to prove himself to a parental figure. His quest to win back Kim's trust adds a layer of pathos to his villainy, making him more complex than a mere monster. It suggests that his insatiable hunger for control stems from a place of profound insecurity and a fractured identity. Is he Joe Tate, the wronged heir, or is he merely Kim's instrument, desperate for a scrap of maternal approval? This internal conflict makes him unpredictable and therefore more dangerous. The consequences of Joe's actions will ripple far beyond the deeds themselves. If Robert plants that evidence, it will eviscerate his already fragile relationship with Aaron, who would see any attack on Moira as an attack on his entire family. The Dingles, a clan built on a code of us against the world, would mobilize into a war machine. But how do you fight an enemy who fights with lawyers, police reports, and video files instead of fists? Victoria's trauma, already profound, will be compounded by the unbearable weight of Joe's ongoing presence as a living reminder of her act. Her relationship with her brother Robert will become a tense alliance of mutual protection, strained by the terrible secret they share and the crimes they are forced to commit to protect it. And what of the community's soul? Emmerdale has survived natural disasters, murders, and financial crashes, but it may not survive this corrosive, silent corrosion of trust. If no moment is private, if every confession can be weaponized, then the bonds of friendship and family that hold a village together will dissolve into paranoia and suspicion. The spoilers from these unaired episodes set the stage for what could be Emmerdale's most psychologically nuanced and pervasive storyline in years. Joe Tate is not just a villain passing through. He is an architect of a new dystopian normal. His power lies not in physical strength or vast wealth alone, but in his understanding of the digital age's most potent truth. Information is control, and memory, once digitized, is forever. The upcoming battles will not be fought in the woolpack or in the fields, but in the shadowy realm of moral compromise, legal manipulation, and digital proof. The question for Robert, Victoria, Maura, and ultimately the entire village is whether the old virtues of community, honesty, and solidarity can withstand the cold, calculated pressure of a man for whom human life is merely a bargaining chip. Joe Tate holds the power, and in doing so, he forces Emmerdale to stare into an abyss where the price of survival may be the very soul of the village itself. The nightmare has not just begun. It has been meticulously recorded, filed, and is now being played to devastating effect.